Coming to the stage is a veteran who has over 35 years of sharing his gift of singing, songwriting, producing, and being a trailblazer in the gospel industry. He's won 7 awards, including the Grammy NAACP Image Award, which I have not won yet as of the time of this filming. That's okay. Dove and Stellar Awards, to name a few. He has served as a producer on more than 100 albums. And in 2017, Essence Magazine named him one of the 50 greatest male singers of all time. Please help me welcome to the stage the incomparable Fred Hammond. Uncle Fred.
Good to be here. I'm in the building.
In the building. He pulled up on me, man.
Pull up on me.
He pulled up on me. Pull up on me. All right, Fred, let's start at the beginning. Is it true you were actually born in Texas and then you moved to Detroit?
I mean, to hold that up. No, not that. The whole thing. Just to turn it this way, like a sandwich. That's really thick.
Oh, yeah. It's thicker than a Snicker.
That's really thick.
This is our textbook of Fred Hammond's life. This is only what we feel like we can do in an hour. We had to shave this down.
Yeah, I was born in San Antonio. It was a situation, and we were encouraged to move to Detroit.
Encouraged to move?
Encouraged. My mom was like, "Yeah, I think you need to go on up that way." But we moved to San Antonio and moved immediately to Detroit. And I tell everybody now, I was born in Texas, but I was built in Detroit. Mm-hmm. Come on now, that's clear.
That's a word.
Come on.
And you was in Detroit when, Detroit gospel, it was everybody. The whole scene was Detroit. Man, for a good amount of years, I feel like. I mean, it was like the music coming out of there was everybody.
Man, they didn't know that all of us knew each other, like the Minneapolis scene with Prince and the Morris and all of those guys and Mint, we knew each other. Vanessa Bell, we knew the Clark sisters. I'll never forget, me and Mitchell Jones, we were in like the 10th grade and we were walking to play basketball at this Northwest Activity Center. Mm-hmm. And we saw Karen Clark walking down the street. Now, Clark sister was famous and she was a little kid.
Yeah.
So we saw her and I said, man, that's Karen Clark. And it's like she was walking to our house. And she said, no, I ain't. I said, yes, it is. I said, Karen. And we just kept looking straight like we didn't say, it's only 2 people across the street. I mean, the street is like really right there. And we acted like we didn't say nothing. And then we kind of looked back. She said, ha. Yo, that's Karen Clark. But the interesting thing was all of us and all of the church kids in Detroit were in this one corner at Mumford High School.
Really?
So it's probably 150 to 200 people in this one corner of lockers and around the corner. And everybody wanted to be in this central location. Yeah. So that's BBCC, Marvin, Carvin, Dorinda, Twinkie, all of them at some point. We were all over there. Carl Reed, he was on the other floor, so Carl's different. But me and Mitchell, and we would get there and everybody, they'd be shouting and all that kind of stuff, playing church music on the boom boxes and stuff. Down just a few minutes, Knee Deep is being played.
Wow.
Funkadelics, the Mothership is being played. People chasing each other through the hall with knives, literally.
Wow.
And we down here, shouting and then we thinking nothing of it. But we all went together to that school and you know what they called it? The Amen Corner.
Really?
That's what you down there with the Amen Corner. Yep. That was it. So.
I mean, did you feel like at the moment, like, because I mean, now all of y'all are legends, in gospel music. Did you feel like, I mean, you might not feel like that in high school, but did you feel like, man, these people are kind of dope? Like we as a collective are kind of dope.
No, we just was doing our thing. It wasn't noticeable to us because Detroit was big in music. It wasn't just big in, it was Motown. Yeah. And so the people that lived in Detroit were the Four Tops, the Temptations, Anita Baker, even though she hadn't been discovered yet.
Yeah, I found her early.
Let me see. You had the Dramatics, like one of the greatest doo-wop groups with commission really followed after is the Dramatics and the Whispers. That was our vibe when we dealt doo-wop.
Really?
Oh man, Ron Banks. Oh man, L.J. Reynolds.
Wow.
Scotty and Walter. Man, those were that's what Mitchell and I studied. Because but we didn't know it because everybody was singing.
Yeah.
In every corner of the building, people outside, people were singing in groups and doing all sorts of things. And it was almost like fame.
That's what kind of got the vibe of that.
It was almost like Fame, but it wasn't. You had the gospel corner that was doing that, but you had the R&B corner that was doing that. I mean, people were singing and doing their thing all over the school, and that was just Mumford. Then there was Henry Ford and McKenzie. It was just a breakout thing. So, we didn't know that that corner of the world would change the world.
Yeah.
We did not know that then.
And y'all absolutely did.
Yeah.
So what were you like as a kid? Like, what was it like in your family? Young Fred Hammond, what was he doing 6, 7, 8?
Man, I was a normal kid. I loved athletics. I loved sports. And I loved music. At about 6 years old, I never forget, my mom brought a little record home. And it was a 45. And 45, for those of you who don't know, millennials, it's a little record. It's DJ. It's that, okay? But she brought this thing home, and I put it on my close and play. Close and play was, you lift it up, it plays. It stops. You close it, like magic, it plays. And I put it down, the needle down, and she said, look at these boys. And I'd never heard them before. And the thing went, ding, 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 ding. And I just sat right there on my legs, on my knees, and I listened to these, and I looked at their picture. It was a Jackson 5. So I grew up in a house where my mom and them played classic music. My dad loved the old standards, Lou Rawls and Nancy Wilson.
Yeah.
Tobacco Road. He would play that every weekend when he got off from the plant. My mother loved Roberta Flack. She loved Stevie Wonder, Donny Hathaway, Aretha Franklin. So that's how I kind of grew up. And I grew up with my brothers, and, life took a little turn when my dad died, when Ray Hammond died. He was the nicest man I ever met. And he died at 32. And we had to figure life out.
Yeah.
My mom had to figure life out. And it was really strange because all of his brothers and sisters stayed alive for the next 45 years. Not one other person in his family died till maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh, my.
So my mom had to figure life out. And so growing up, I always craved sports. So I played football. I was a tight end, had great hands, had good speed. I played baseball. I got a scholarship in college to go to play football. I didn't like football because it got too cold. I got scouted by the Baltimore Orioles to play on their farm team, and I didn't really want to do that. They came to my games and they sat down, they talked to my mom, and but I love music.
Mm-hmm.
I love music.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine named Jeff Stanton, he taught me more about music. We grew up playing in church, but we would go in his basement and shed, and he would just enrich me. He played every instrument. He played guitar, he played drums, he played bass, and he would tell me how to play. And I played. He'd teach me theory. Now what's this? Bop, 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 bop. Count it. What is it? Come on, think. You got it. And so I'm in school with this cat, and we're just in his basement, and we're learning stuff. He's teaching me artists. He brought this one guy home. I'm talking a lot, but it's a lot. I'm 61.
This is about you, Fred.
I'm 61, so
I'm enthralled.
A lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, we signed up to hear about this. So don't worry about us. We listening.
He brought this guy home, and he said he pulled it out the paper, got it from Peaches Records, and he pulled this thing out because he brought a record every week. And he pulled this guy. He said, "Man, you got to hear this dude. This dude plays every instrument." And it was dude sitting on a horse with wings. It was Prince. And we listened to it. And the first thing is IU or some acapella thing he did. And we were just enthralled with this. He said, "Man, listen to this guy, man. He plays every single instrument." He brought me Michael Franks. He brought me Herbie Hancock, Chameleon. And we would just go in his house. And then we would go to the garage and have garage band.
Yeah.
And we would take a
Before
drum.
it was on the Apple computer.
And all we played was Mr. Magic and Breezin' for 2 hours. That's all we played. And man, that's kind of what I grew up in.
So you start on drums, and then you still play the bass with your hands. You have never stopped.
No,
you can't stop.
Bass is always going on in my head.
Yeah,
it's always going on in my head. If I hear something, especially when I'm doing music, now I don't get to play as much because older, my muscle memory is kind of gone. But I have great bass players. So I just do air stuff, because I'm actually playing the notes in my head. I see me playing everything, but I just look crazy, I just look crazy.
So, I mean, you have all this musicality as a kid and, through high school, and then you go to the Army. Yeah. What was the thought process behind that?
I didn't, like I said, I started out right out of high school and I went straight to college, went to junior college, Henry Ford Junior College, and I didn't have a clue or direction. I took music theory, which I hated. Absolutely hated learning music theory.
Why?
I don't know. It was hard.
Yeah.
It was a lot of math. I wasn't really good at math.
Right.
It was a lot of math, and I couldn't understand it. I just knew how to play Have You Tried Jesus? He's All Right. I could play that one.
I don't know nothing about no minor triplets, B flat minor 7.
I could play every. If you think you're about to play a James Cleveland song, I knew it. I'm on it. I'm looking at the piano player like I know the notes and everything. I had a really amazing ear, but I hated music theory. I took the psychology of sports, the history of Michigan, and criminal justice, and I was really good at that. I was good at that.
Interesting.
And the last thing I took was filmmaking, and I really enjoyed it.
Wow.
Then I got the job with the Winans after a little while, but Mitchell Jones and I, we were around a lot of blight. Mm-hmm. We had cousins and uncles and stuff that grew up in the city, and 7 years out of high school, they're still going to high school games, and ain't really done nothing. Right. Worked for the plant, and that was it.
Yeah.
And me and Mitchell was like, we're not gonna do that. I said, man, let's sign up for the military.
Yeah. So what was that like? What was your time in the military like?
It was really good. It was really good. I knew I wasn't going to be a long-term military guy.
Yeah.
But it was really good. I went to Alabama, Fort McClellan, Alabama, to go to MP school. He went to Fort Lee, New Jersey for administration school, and AIT and boot camp. And I enjoyed it because I'm a sports dude. I'm from sports.
Yeah.
So anywhere you get a locker room, you get guys that I gotta accomplish a mission. Mm-hmm. I'm used to that culture.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, and that's what they say when you see somebody in sports and they say, how is this guy in the locker room? Is he going to mess up? What they mean is when you're off the field, is this guy going to mess up the synergy of the team?
Right.
And so I learned team sports and team discipline really in the military. So I went to the National Guard, and I said, well, let's go to the National Guard. And we can always sign up for the regular Army, but if you go to the regular Army, you can't step down to the National Guard.
No, you in there for real. You in there for
2
real.
2 years, you good. So, and next thing I know, when I got out to National Guard, I got out of boot camp and everything, I got the job with the Winans. So it was good that I didn't.
So tell me about your time with the Winans. You auditioned, you played bass, and you're on tour with the Winans. And at this time, they are, now they're legendary, but at this time they were like breaking records. The Winans, and one of the great gospel music families. What was that like for you, a young man? You playing bass with them?
Yeah, and I'm not crying. It's allergy season in Texas. But
we're gonna put Fred Hammond cries about the Winans period in time. It's like,
they didn't.
That's the thumbnail right there, Josh.
I got about to pay. He cried about talking about the pay. but man, it was strange because I almost didn't get the gig.
Really?
Almost didn't get the gig. They had just hit the street. We knew the Winans as one of the premier bands, gospel bands. They were like Earth, Wind, and Fire size. They were called the Testimonials.
Okay.
And we would follow them around. Every church they would be at, Testimony was going to be over here. Testimony, Marvin Carvin, Howard Smith, and Michael and Ronald. And then they had this big band horn sections and everything, man. And we would just follow them around. And then one day I was driving home from like I think it was a National Guard session that I had to be in. It was late. Mm-hmm. And I was coming home and I heard on the radio, they said the Winans. And the guy mispronounced, he called the Winings. Next, coming up, the Winings. And we only knew them as Peanut and carving, Butch.
Yeah.
That's all we knew him. So who was the Winans? And next thing I know, on Finkel and Grand River, I heard him down restoration, and I'm like, wow, that's Peanut and them.
Yeah.
That's Peanut and them. So
that's the blackest thing ever, by the way, Fred.
Huh?
That's Peanut and them. That's the blackest thing ever.
That's what we called him.
Yeah.
And the next thing I knew, I heard the bass players leaving. So they're about to get this guy named Greg Lockett, who's another great bass player in the city, but he had a real good job. He was making, at that time, he had to be making close to 100 in sales. He was killing the game, so he wasn't about to come off the road. So he said, man, I'm gonna hook you up. I'm gonna tell him you it. And so Michael Wright and different ones in there said, yeah, we're gonna tell him that Hammond is the guy. And so Marvin said, okay, well, here's my number. Call me. He told me, you told me, if you're watching, you told me to call you. You did. So I waited. He said, I called him at 11 o'clock. I wanted to show him that I'm prompt. I got out of class and ran at 10:55. I was standing at the phone. And I put my money in. I called him up. He said, who is this? I said, Marvin, this is Fred Hammond, and you told me to call you about the bass player slot. He said, oh, yeah, I'm not thinking about that right now. Call me tomorrow. Call me tomorrow at 11 o'clock. I said, okay, cool. So my whole family is waiting. They fasting, they praying, they trying to get to. And so next day at 11 o'clock, I called him again. And I heard Vicky, I guess they had been up there, Vicky Winans said, Peanut, this is that boy. And I heard him say, what boy? What's your name again? I said, Fred Hammond. Oh, Fred Hammond, the bass player. Okay, cool. He said, hello. And I said, hey, Marvin, want to find out, did you give any thought to me auditioning? He said, no, not at all. Call me tomorrow at 11 o'clock. Next day, I called him at 11 o'clock. He said, what do you want? He said, Marvin Winans said this, what do you want? And I said, well, and my heart is in my knees. I'm saying, well, Mr. Marvin, potentate, sir. I'm trying to think of what can I say to get this gig. He said, he said, listen to it. Don't call me no more. We gonna go with who we got. I said, yes, sir. Okay. Yeah, don't call me no more. And so I went and told my mom and this and another. Said, Freddie, just stay connected. Well, I went to school with BBCC and Daniel.
Yep.
So now they're getting ready to do this big concert in Detroit, and it's the Winans, and it's been ready to sell out when they announced the tickets. But they had this group called Winans Part 2, BBCC, Daniel, Vicky, and a woman named Marvy Wright, a girl named Marvy Wright. So they needed a band. So BB and Daniel cornered me, like, I want you to play bass for us. They didn't turn you down. You play bass for us. I said, okay, cool. Let's come on. So Michael Williams, Michael Brooks, and me, we met for the first time. Me and Michael knew each other. But Brooks, we met him for the first time at that point. So we were in the room, in their living room, and Marvin started teaching the Winans Part 2 songs. And once again, my ear was amazing at that age. So whenever they play, I would play it, and I gave him a line, and, little phenom in Detroit, bass player, this, that, and other. And so.
Little phenom, it's like
little
work.
Phenom. like easy work.
Easy work.
It was easy work. And so they're very competitive family. So Daniel and Vicky and BB, Cece was more quiet, but she got in there too. They was like, when they heard us together, and Pop was over in the corner, come on now, hit it. That boy good right there. That good. Hit it, BB. And so we're sitting there and we're playing, and Marvin's on the piano teaching the song, and Brooks is on Rhodes, and we're playing. We're playing. And so they said, oh my goodness, the Winans Part 2 band is better than the Winans Part 1 band. Oh my, and their whole house is going back and forth. And then Marvin turned to me and said, you ain't slick. And I'm like,
I called you at 11 3 days in a row. You were the one that you told me stop calling.
You said stop. What are you talking about? But did he know I had his music in my arsenal?
Right.
So he said, you know you ain't slick, right? And I said, what you talking about? He said, let me hear you play this. I feel like flying away. Before he can get to away, I was on him like right, and I was trying to pull them strings off that thing. I would boom, pop, pop. Then he said, brothers, we need a meeting. And BB knocked him off the piano, and Daniel, they were wrestling. No, you ain't taking our bass. And it was just melee, and I got the gig that day.
Wow.
I got the gig. Yep.
That is amazing. I didn't know that. I heard the Winans Phase 2, which is the children of the Winans.
Yep.
The Winans Part 2 came before the Winans Phase 2.
Absolutely. Yep.
Y'all need to know about this gospel
That's
history.
right.
So after you tour with the Winans, you and your friends start a little group. I don't know if you've heard of it. Just a small group named Commission.
Mm-hmm.
Now, tell us the story of the genesis of that, because I mean that group changed the direction of gospel music.
Yeah, man.
But tell us how that came to be.
That was Mitchell Jones and I were best friends. You could not separate us. They called us in school. They called us Sam and Dave.
Okay.
We did our last year in high school. We did the talent show and wrecked. We did Everything Must Change, and we were just piano and us, and wrecked that place.
Yeah.
My English teacher, I'm not gonna give her name because even though she's probably dead. Not gonna give her a name, but when we got off stage, it was so stellar when we came on. We was in suits and we sang, and nobody had heard us sing the whole time. We lit that whole place up. And my English teacher, I'm gonna say it was a mistake. She kissed me in the mouth, dead in the mouth. I'm not gonna say who it was. I'm sure she's dead. And I felt like it was a mistake, but the amount of time on a mistake is like. But this was a lean in, and it was really, really, really wet. No tongue. It was no tongue, but it was just moist, and the lips was just big, full, and I said, "Yo!" But nevertheless, me and Mitchell were inseparable. Mitchell was a phenomenal point guard. He made all city. He was a phenomenal point guard in the city of Detroit. And I played football, and I did well. So, that was the vibe. And we just stayed and stayed and stayed. And when I got the gig with the Winans, I said, I'm coming back. I'm not going nowhere. I'm going to learn. Then I'm coming back for you. And I went out. I learned a lot with the Winans. Met a lot of people. And I went and got Mitchell and told him what we was doing, and finally said, man, let's start a group. And he said, well, man, I know I'm with Carl Reed and Keith Staten. They were at the Sounds of Joy. And they got a band and everything. I said, Keith, yeah. Carl, we went to school with Carl. Carl's tall and light-skinned, yeah. And nobody knows that it was a toss-up between Carl Reed and Park Stewart.
Really?
Park Stewart was one of the amazing writers. He wrote, Ordinary with Mitch. He wrote Cry On with Mitch. He wrote Hold Me with Me. He wrote all of the hits that ever Mitchell had. And but at some point in time, I just went more with Carl because he stood out and he changed the look of the group.
Yeah.
At that point, it was a different look, and we started looking like Switch at that point. What I'm saying? At that point, like he helped us make it look like Switch. But we went on. And I just started teaching and saying, man, this is what I learned, and this is what we're going to do. And we would go to Howard Johnson's every Friday night for like a year because we was broke, but they had all-you-can-eat clams for like $5. All-you-can-eat clams. And so we would go there and stay for 2 hours and do a vision board.
Cleaning them out.
And do a vision board.
Yeah.
Man, listen, be packed up in there. And over the time, that's when I met Brooks, Michael Brooks, And I asked him to be a part, and Michael Williams was my best friend, so he was going to naturally be the drummer. And then Michael Wright, we asked him to be the guitar player. So that's kind of how we went.
Got it.
And then we met up with Derek Dirksen was our manager. Derek Dirksen was key because he had a group out called Chapter 8. Anita Baker was the lead singer of Chapter 8.
Yep, I knew that.
She wasn't a star or anything, but they had that song, just wanna be your, He was the drummer and the manager. So he started managing Commission, and that's when we got it with Light Records, and the rest is history.
The rest is history. So now the thing about Commission that's interesting, sound wise and attire wise, it was very different than anything that was out at the time. Was that intentional, or was that you guys just being who you were?
Both of those.
Okay.
It was both of those. We decided that we didn't want to look like everybody else, so we were going to dress, each one of us going to dress their personality.
Okay.
You know, and but I got to be honest with you, the first album cover, which is I'm Going On, they took, it was 2 album covers. So we knew that we had to dance the dance of gospel music. So we did suits. We were suited and booted. Yeah. But it was all different color suits. Everybody, you know, it wasn't really flashy. There was really nice suits, you know. But the manager told us, just bring your jeans. We're going to take a picture in both. And we're like, well, we just having fun, right? You know, because they'll kick us out. They're going to kick us out if you put us on jeans. But he said, y'all just have fun.
It's serious business if you wear them jeans.
We took the picture. We did the pose, the same pose that's on the first album. We did it in suits. Then we did a whole bunch of funny stuff and just kicking it around. Next thing you know, we're getting the album cover back. And he pulls the slick out, is what you approve. He pulls that slick out. And there we are in suits with that pink banner and everything, and said Commission. And I never forget the feeling I got. Man, we was in there crying at Keith Staten's house. You know, mother and them was out there, was pastor. Oh my God, we was crying, people speaking in tongues. And he's like, wait, well, you speak, wait. And he pulled out the second one with the jeans. He said, now, I know what y'all want to do. That's your cover. We was like, oh, we can't do that. They go, it's slick, but we can't do that, man. They go, he said, take 3 days. But if you want to be leaders, that's your cover. And I said, we just sat around, we talked about it literally round the clock, 8 hours a day. And finally we had enough heart to say, let's go with it. He said, now, when we do radio interviews, it's a non-issue. Don't talk about the clothes. It's a non-issue. When the DJ goes to talk about, hey, so you guys don't dress like that, he would jump in and say, next question.
Really?
We're not gonna talk about that. It's a non-issue. And we never talked about it. We got picketed.
Picketed?
We got picketed at concerts.
For jeans?
Jeans.
Picketed?
They could not deny "'Tis So Sweet" and "I Can See Jesus." They couldn't, like, I'm Going On. They couldn't deny it. It's something there, but we can't buy this group because of these clothes. They not saved.
It's funny now, but I know it was not a game then. We
lost
saved.
A lot of gigs. Can you imagine what it's like to drive up and see people picketing your music? It was like driving up in slow motion in a bad movie at a church, and it's a line coming out of the church waiting to get in of young people.
Yeah.
Then you got these older people, got to be 30 of them, and they're all, devil's music, you're going to hell. Oh, y'all going to hell, going in here, the group. And you look at them and you're like, that's not us. How can y'all say that? And man, it was the saddest moment. And when we got in there, we lit that place up.
I bet.
And they told us, don't talk about the people outside. If you do say something positive, say we're praying for them and keep it moving. Do not issue. But man, I'm telling you, it was a bad scene to see that and know that you've been called.
Yeah.
Yep. So
you got to deal with, that's church people. We talking about gospel music. Quiet as kept, you could almost trace that to like K-pop. The way K-pop artists dress right now, you can walk that all the way back to Commission.
Right there.
It feels like a group, but it's individualistic.
The trend, I think there was 5 or 6 albums that came out that year. The Winans Tomorrow, Jesse Dixon, Douglas Miller, Richard Smallwood, and Al Green. Each one of them had on that year purple cummerbunds and purple bow ties in black tuxedos. The Winans were sitting on the couch.
Yeah.
Black tuxedos, very classy. And all of them had, Richard Smallwood was on the roof. I think his was turquoise, but he was in a tuxedo. Yeah. They were trending. Then here we come with Guess jeans and jingle boots. But we were reaching a generation that we didn't know. We weren't doing it to change the game. We just did it and just trusted the Lord. But it costs. It costs.
Man.
It definitely costs.
So Commission has, countless amazing music, albums, and all that. But one song sticks out that makes people feel like, I am a sinner in need of your grace. And I didn't even do nothing today, God, but I'm crying now. And that song is Running Back to You. I just made a video about this week. I literally was just, and it didn't even play anywhere. I literally just said, I'm finna play this song because I love it. And I said, I'm gonna make a video just to show Fred, see if he's, and I was like, let me see Fred out there. You was like, I see you, nephew. And I was like, we're friends. But I want to know what the inspiration, because that song is timeless. I'm talking about people who don't even go to church no more. When I post it, they be like, man, this is my song. My mom played this song. I ain't been to church in forever, but this is my song. Like, what was the inspiration behind that song? Because that is a timeless classic.
Let's just be 100, because I'm 61 now. I don't care what y'all think. Y'all can be mad at me if you want. Y'all can judge me if you want. But we know that song about fornication. We know it. Stop playing with me. We couldn't know. We didn't steal. We wasn't on drugs. We didn't smoke no weed. We just went to church. We know what that song was about. And we was guilty of it. And this was when Commission came out. Now, let me tell you the story. When we got together, Keith and Carl, especially Keith, were clean. Mm-hmm. Very clean. Carl, okay, he's got his own testimony, but we viewed him as clean. Mitchell and I were heathens. When it came to that. We were growing up, man, he had no father figure, man, this, that, another. What else you gonna do? And around the hood. But when we all got together, there was a synergy that said, and I told him, man, we're not gonna have babies all over the country. Yeah. We're gonna be famous. And I know a lot of these groups, I've been out there and I've seen them. We're not gonna have girls on the floor of the hotel. We're gonna really walk this thing out. Because we hadn't started walking it. Right. We was working on walking it, because the Bible says, speak those things that are not as though they are. So we spoke it into existence, because Mitchell and I were still working on ourselves. Right. And we never told, it wasn't no situation where we were bragging to Keith and Carl, like, hey man, we didn't do that. Right. But Mitchell and I would have our conversations, man, and afterwards we would be in the car just crying, like, man, happened again, God.
I keep falling into this. I said, every time I turn around.
We gotta get married, man. Shoot, man, this is crazy. But our hearts were so, it was pure. Yeah. And I never forget when we were talking, and we made up our mind and said, we're not gonna be that group. Yeah. We're not going to be having girls all over the road and having all this stuff. And so that's when our walk started getting serious. Yeah. Second album is getting ready to come out. And that's when I'm driving a truck. I'm still working. The first album came out, but I'm still working as a truck driver, person that delivered tables and chairs, me and Michael Williams. And Mitchell worked at Thornapple Valley Meat Company. And, we're still working, doing jobs. Keith went to aerodynamic school, and Carl worked at Kmart or something. Mm-hmm. Michael Brooks worked somewhere, and he worked as a church musician, and Michael Williams was working with me as a delivery guy. And I never forget, like, we were thinking about the next album, and I wasn't the main writer. I was more of the arranger. Mm-hmm. Me and Mitchell arranged all the vocals, and that was my thing. I could take your song and I can arrange it. Michael Brooks was the writer, and that's just the way it was. The next one, I never forget, I was in the truck, and I just started thinking of really trying to be serious. I'm like, God, you blessed us with this. And, I really need to get this thing together. Can you forgive me when I've often gone astray? Can you forgive me when I think my way? Having back for you. And all I had was that for like 2 months. Then it was time to record, and I started recording it. And I started writing it down in there. And when I got to the point, you hold your nail-scarred hand. And I just was getting ready to get married in a few weeks. And I was in my apartment with bed on the floor. And I wrote, you told me you understand, because then you hold your nail scar. And I fell out in my room, speaking in tongues, crying. I'm sorry, Lord, help me make it. So we understand what that's.
I'm finna get married, God.
Just give me a couple weeks. I'm holding it. We good. But I lived. Yeah. I went and relived it, because you know what? That was really all of our struggle.
Yeah. That's why I love it.
That's all of our struggle, man. And at the end of the day, that's because first time I see you do that was with you that macaroni and cheese from Chick-fil-A. I said, man, this dude's crazy. But that was the thing, we just wanted to be right. That was my prayer. I wanted to be right before God. And I saw him for the first time as a loving God, not a judgmental, I'm running back to you. You tell me, get out of here. So, that was what that was, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So Commission then goes on to win 4 Grammys, 6 Stellar Awards, 12 chart-topping albums. You all recently inducted into the Gospel Music Hall of Fame. What did it feel like to be recognized in that way, almost like legitimized and, forever solidified in such an important genre?
To be honest with you, we were really legitimized when Boys to Men came up to us and said, we started our group because of you. And they have our records with them.
Wow.
I would go to little concerts like Budweiser Superfest, and I would see the band from Bobby Brown and this, that, and another, and they would see me, and they would literally, someone would really start crying. Like, man, I'm doing this because of you. Derek Allen, DOA, one of the coldest bass players out there, was playing for Karen White, with Chucky Booker, Janet Jackson, and everybody. He pulled out every Commission record tape out of his fanny pack.
Yeah.
He pulled it out and said, this is all I listen to. And that's when we were legitimized. So by the time we got to the Hall of Fame, it was like, thank you.
Yeah.
We really do appreciate it. We really do. We ain't tripping, but Jamie Foxx is coming up to us telling us, he said, man, it was y'all.
Yeah.
Me and Regina King would sit in the room and listen to your song and cry, and just, one day we gonna make it, this, that, and other. We didn't know it because we were in the struggle. It wasn't like we was rich. We was in the struggle.
Yeah.
Just trying to make it, man, and we didn't know what we was doing. So that really is the stuff that legitimized us.
So then you got your solo career.
Yep.
Right? And I mean, I just want to say this, and I made this video, but I just want to repeat it in case anybody missed it.
Go for it.
This 4-album run, to me, Kevin, you have your own opinion, but to me, Kevin, this is the greatest run of 4 albums in a row in gospel music history, unlikely to ever be done again. Okay, 1995, Inner Court. Okay, Radical for Christ. 1996, Spirit of David. Okay, 1998, Fred, this is still you.
Me.
It's you. Pages of Life, chapters 1 and 2. And then the year 2000, Purpose by Design.
Yep.
Now, Fred, I'm told this story to people, but I'm going to tell it to you. I first told my wife I love you in high school to that Pages of Life, Purpose by Design album. So thank you, Jesus. Thank you. I was hearing this. Thank you. Thank you. And then I was just like, you know what? I just want to thank Jesus for you. I never
You
said
heard
it before.
here. You heard it right here.
I love you, girl, to that song, right? But take us all the way back to 1995, because of your songs are still sung in church. Blessed. We don't have no other offering song as a black church. I wonder if you are ever sick of it. Like, yo, I got 800 other songs. We like blessed means offering.
I'm really not sick of it 2 times a year, and that's when it paid royalty time. I'm really not sick of streaming and royalty time. Thank you, Jesus. Bless. Hey. But the reality is that transformation from Commission to Radical was so rocky and stormy.
Oh, really?
It was so rocky and stormy. It was God. It wasn't one of them things where I never thought I would leave the group. I thought, we made it through Keith and Carl. I brought in Marvin.
Mm-hmm.
And now somebody else about to leave.
Yeah.
And I was like, we was going through a really rough transition. Brothers is just, the nest was getting too small, and Brothers was like, kind of at each other. You know, we never had fist fights, but we had some knockdown, drag out arguments about direction and this and finger pointing about that. And I figured, like, which one of you knew is about to leave? Y'all about to go, because I'm not going. I started this thing. I got the record company with me. I'm on my side. They want this. I'm good.
Yeah.
And finally, we had a meeting with Pastor Reggie Lane, and they had me come. And I never forget, it was after my cousin Carlton Watson had got shot and killed. And at the funeral, Carl told me, "Hey, bring all the receipts tomorrow. We got a meeting." And I'm like, "What is that?" So me and Ray, my brother, I had my own studio by then. We brought everything. We sat it down. He went over it. Everything was in order. And he said, "What's the bottom line?" And I knew at that point in time, I'm like, I already know who I'm getting rid of. I already know. I said, y'all call the record company, and I'm going to call the record company and see who they go. I was straight, because I just delivered 2 great albums that really sold.
Yeah.
Number 7 and Matters of the Heart. So the record company said, whatever Fred says is what it's going to be. I said, which one of y'all about to leave? And one of the brothers, won't say who, at the end, it was just an eerie silence. And Pastor Lane said, "What's the bottom line on that paper you guys submitted?" So I knew it was a meeting before a meeting.
Oh. Want to take a quick break from the show to tell you about our sponsor for today's episode, ExpressVPN. Listen, most of us have little choice in how do they choose their internet service provider, okay? Because ISPs operate like monopolies in the region they serve. They use monopoly power to take advantage of the customers. Data caps, streaming throttles, the list goes on and on. But worst of all, many ISPs log your internet activity and sell that data to other big tech companies or advisors. This is doggone wrong, and there's not much you can do about it. Except with ExpressVPN, you can. Oh yeah, ExpressVPN prevents ISPs from seeing your internet activity, and you can protect all of your devices with ExpressVPN. What is ExpressVPN? It's a simple app for your computer, smartphone, that encrypts all your data and tunnels it through a secure VPN server, so that your ISP cannot see any of your activity. Think about how much of your life is on the internet, okay? Everything, your clicks, your likes, your searches, your hopes, your dreams, your wishes. That's why I recommend ExpressVPN as the best way to hide your online activity from your ISP. You download the app, tap one button on your device, and you're protected. Listen, I'm sick of searching for something or thinking of something or talking about something, and next thing you know, I'm served ad and ad and ad and ad and ad and ad after ad. I'm tired of it. I need my privacy. I'm a public figure. And sometimes I search for nasty things on the internet, and I don't want anybody to know about it. ExpressVPN does all this without slowing your connection. That's why it's rated #1 VPN service by Business Insider and The Verge. So stop handing over your personal data to ISPs and other tech giants who want my and your activity and sell off your information. Protect yourself with a VPN I trust to keep my privacy private online. Visit expressvpn.com/stage. That's expressvpn.com/stage to get 3 extra months free. Go to expressvpn.com/stage right now to learn more. And now back to the show.
And I looked at the person that was doing it. They never looked me in the eye. They said, "Here are all the things we want done." And the bottom line is, we do not believe God called Fred to be the leader of our group. And I picked every one of them by hand. Pulled us out of a dangerous place, took us in a new direction. And that was what was said. And the Holy Ghost said, "Just meet me at the studio." I said, "Give me 2 weeks." I didn't fight. I didn't fuss. I wasn't protected. And I went through and I opened my word up on my mixing console, and I went through every place. There wasn't no Google. You had to actually go through the concordance and look, and everywhere it said belief, I studied it. Everywhere it said unbelief, I studied it. And I got to the one scripture that said, Jesus was in his own country, in his own town, and he was preaching and teaching, and they said, "Who does he think he is? Don't we know his mama and them? Who is he? Who is he? Who is he?" And the scripture says, he marveled. Never have I seen such unbelief. And then here's the clincher. Many mighty miracles he could not do because of their unbelief. You can get them Grammys, you can get them gold records, you can all have Bentleys. It ain't gonna happen. I closed the Bible, went back to him, said, I'm gonna finish the year out and I'm gonna give it to you. Here y'all have it. And I had no place to go. I had no place to go.
I did not know that.
No place to go. Looking at it now, you can see God pushing me out.
Yeah.
It wasn't them.
But then at that time, you definitely didn't feel like that.
I didn't feel like that. But I'm not a fighter. I'm a peacemaker. But I'm still from Detroit, But I'm not going to fight them.
Right.
And I'm not going to keep fighting. I've proven to you all.
Yeah.
I've proven to y'all. And this is the bottom line. And so we spent the rest of the year just kind of, it was a little tumultuous, but they was just waiting for me to leave. And so it got to the end of the year, and I said, one last time, Springfield, Ohio, our last concert. Great job. People heard I was leaving. We're sitting in the dressing room at the end. They was getting dressed. They were a little more happier than I was. And I said, guys, we don't have to do it this way. Carl, you can go do an album. The record company will do an album. Mitchell, you can do your own album. Marvin, you can do an album. I can go do an album. Let's take 2 years off away from each other and then come back. And they said, you want to vote? Let's vote on that. Real quick.
Just like that?
Just like that. Say, let's vote on that. Mitchell, what you say? Arvin, this, that, and Michael Williams, what you say? I say it's a good idea. That's what Marvin said. Max Frank was in the group. He said, I think it's a good idea too. He said, well, we good. So sorry about that. We gonna go on our way and you go on yours. And I just sat back and I stooped into a level, I went into a level of depression that I could not explain. I mean, it was a horrible place because I didn't know what to do. And then some say start a choir. But I didn't start it like, I'm going to start a choir.
Right.
It's ironic that I'm in this place because 3 people is what I use the DNA. Kirk and the family, John P. Key. I rode around listening to Show Up like 2 months straight. That's all I would play in my car, rolling the window down through the hood, through the parks, everything. I just played that song over and over again. And Hezekiah Walker.
I mean, that's gospel music to me. That's my entire childhood.
Then I paid attention to my boy Gary, The Sounds of Blackness. And I liked Donald Lawrence's music.
Yep. And
so those were the 5 choirs that I just listened to. But I wasn't a choir teacher. We taught harmonies different in commission. Remember, I didn't go to music theory.
Yeah.
So, it's real simple. Triad, just to sing this note. And so I was having trouble trying to figure out how to do block, just straight harmonies for a choir. And so I called on these people. I figured, man, we about to get 40 of the best artists. Fred Hammond from commission is starting the choir. Literally, I got just willing people. They weren't really talented, but they were willing. And I didn't know what to do. So once again, ironically, the only song I really was able to teach them was The Reason Why We Sing for 3 months. That's all we sang in rehearsal. I tried to say it. I mean, I stretched it out like, someone asked, let all them sing it. Then I say, okay, tenors, y'all sing it 6 times through. Okay, altos, you said, then that's an hour. Let's go on about it. I did that for 3 months straight, and I didn't know what to do. Finally, I gave up. I said, I'm done. I don't know what I'm doing. I was laying in the bed. My former wife, she was in the bathroom, and she came out. I had my Army coat that I came from the Army. It was zipped up. I had the hood on. I had my skull on. I was supposed to be on. I had Tim's hanging off the side of the bed. And I was just down. I said, I'm ending it tonight. It's over. I'm not going to waste these people's time. I don't know what I'm doing. She said, well, what you going to do? I said, I have no clue. Got there, sat in the car for 30 minutes. I walked in at this church, Great Faith Ministries, and 40 people were down there singing The Reason Why We Sing. Like it was brand new. And they was worshiping to it and this, that, and other. And, oh, man. Walking the mile, walking down to the front. And they said, here's Elder right here. Let's give him a hand. They all turned in. Man, I ain't going to like what I got to say when I get down there. I walked down to the front. And I looked at them, and they were like this. Only had one song. And I said, hey, everybody, this is this is our last rehearsal. And they're like, why? I said, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. And it was like, no, Elder, God is going to give it to you, Elder. I said, I won't hear nothing about the Lord right now. To be honest with you. Because I'm not wherever he's at, I'm not. And I'm missing him. And they were like, I said, we don't have any songs. We've been singing the same doggone song for 3 months. He said, God, I'm going to give you some songs, Elder. Huh? I'm good. And I sat there. And people started rocking and praying in tongues. And I looked, and the Holy Ghost said to me, now you were with 6 people a year ago who did not believe. And they're talented as all gets out. You're with 40 people that are not as talented, but they believe. And I looked, and they were praying, and they were worshiping, like, please don't just, now give him what to do, Lord. They was told, give him what they were pointing towards me. I said, ho. Here's what's getting ready to happen. We're getting ready to write songs that have never been sung before. God is getting ready to do X, Y. And I started prophesying. We're going to go on tour. We're going to do this. We're going to blah, blah, blah. And I started doing, people was falling out, pop, pop, pop in the rehearsal. The very next week, we started rehearsing, writing new music. Music was dropping in me like crazy. I'm pulling samples up, and Glory to Glory was a mistake. It was a mistake.
Oh, Fred, you got to tell that story now.
It was a mistake.
It wasn't a mistake to me, but tell me how it was a mistake.
I was an MPC producer, so I could manipulate keys and stuff. And I had Noel Hall, I had Big Tom, I had Daryl. I had some really cool young cats around me, and so we're sitting there doing this music, and all of a sudden I'm writing this song. I can say it now because it's what's it called? When you
Statute of Limitations.
Statute of Limitations. Yeah. I can say it now. My cousins is El DeBar. Remember that, cuz. Remember, you was my cousin. You my cousin. And so I'm writing O Zion, which is really, I've been thinking about you. Ding dong, ding 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 O Zion.
Oh my God!
And they didn't have laws with replays and stuff like that. So I'm sitting there writing this, that, and that. Me and my crew was in there, and I'm putting this beat together, and I stopped the beat. Now the MPC, if you have a long sample, so if you hear when you stop the beat, when you stop the machine, the sample has to finish. Mm-hmm. It don't just stop automatically. So I'm writing the part, and my guys is in there, and we're doing this stuff. Glory to glory, and it just came out just like that. We stopped that one, wrote that one, and then went back to that one. That's why they're connected.
Oh my!
That's why they're connected.
Just sequenced them like that.
Nope. So even when you hear
one song,
it's one song. So even when you hear "Oh Zion, put on the oh Zion," we kept the sample going, and we just went right on into. I said these songs are going to connect. God was giving me a new flavor. I was taking praise and worship, which black people weren't doing. I got it from Hosanna, Maranatha, and I just took their energy and their concept about God and just put grease on it.
Yeah.
I was like, man, we boom, God, boom, shot, boom. So if you listen to that song, coming out of one, you're going to hear the sample keep going.
I'm going to play it as soon as we finish this interview.
That's how we went into the next song, and the songs were coming so fast. And Tommy Walker, he had this song. Nobody believed in Tommy, nobody. So he came over. I said, Tommy, I'll rock with you. And I gave him a room. I put him in a room and gave him a bunch of keyboards. He was a genius. I gave Noel a bunch of keyboards and stuff. Next thing I know, Tommy said, he spoke with a stutter. You want to listen to this? And I was like, okay, cool, man. Let's listen to it. I believe in you. And next thing you know, he come up. He was amazing. He's a papa do bling 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 bling, and we had the speakers up loud. And I'm saying, Tommy, oh man, that's amazing. And I said, let me live with that. And when I went home, I was sleeping. I had my headphones on. We're blessed in the city. We're blessed in the field. Man, it was over. God was pouring into us from that prophecy, but it was almost over. I almost didn't make it to the next day because I went to quit, but I had 40 believers.
Yeah.
That if I told those people, they weren't as talented, but those are all the people you heard on that album.
Man,
if you listen to
known.
We had cheap mics, me and my brother, we had a little room. We were throwing mics cords over the room because we had no glass.
Yeah.
So we had to start the session like, okay, we get ready to start. We had these little cheap headphones that people bought their own headphones. And we plugged them up. All right, we get ready to start. All right, we get ready to start. Like the army. And we were in there recording. So when you hear Inner Court, you hear those 40 people that believed.
Man,
I had to soon shift from that 40 because I couldn't carry that many people out on the road.
Yeah.
So I had to bring it down. But that 40 people got a chance to change the way people did music. And so that's what ended up what happened. And they were just so sincere. I shout out to all of the original very first album RFC people. You know, they was upset with me when I cut it down because I had to. Right. Business, I couldn't kick you off.
Listen, I tour with 5, and I'm like, Jesus, I don't know how gospel artists do it.
Listen.
All them hotels in Hunger?
And let me tell you something. I wasn't going to get on no 45-seater. No 45-seater going to down to Atlanta. Oh, no. I like tour buses. I want to go to bed.
Pick me up a choir. Y'all heard the songs? Give me some people who already live here. And we sing it together. Y'all rehearsed it this week. Y'all heard the song. Y'all probably sang them this Sunday.
But it was because they believed that we shifted the atmosphere of music.
Oh, absolutely.
Those people looked me in my face, and if I told them, next week, we're going to move this building 7 inches to the left and never give them any advice, next week they'd show up with pickaxe and hard hats and say, my uncle got a bulldozer right. I don't know how he's going to do it, but he said we can use it. You know,
wow.
But they believe that much, and that's how it's
all you need.
That's it.
So I'm curious, and I know you probably don't want to brag on yourself, but you know, we always talk about like the era of choirs became praise team. I never really connected. Do you feel like you had a part in like the praise, you know, because when I was a child, it was devotion, which was just one deacon or deaconess alone. That's all it
was before RFC. That's all it was.
And then it was a choir. There was no in between. There was never one person with 5 people, which since around your time, it's been that. Shifted. So do you feel like you had a big part to do? Because I feel like that.
We did. I went to Clarence McClendon is my good friend. And I took a small group and we were singing these songs that people had never heard. Mm. And Clarence stopped and prophesied. He said, Fred, you are now the architect of urban praise and worship. He said, what you have done is going to shift the way churches and people do music. That's not why we did it.
Right.
Like Commission, we didn't wear the clothes because we wanted to change the game.
Yeah.
We didn't want to, you know, our sound, people don't know that the Commission sound is the Clark Sisters sound. It's the Clark Sisters mix. Mm-hmm. What we did was we took all the background singers. So here's the fader, right? You got the little faders on the console. So in a regular mix, the lead vocal volume would be here, and the backgrounds would be here. On the Temptations, on the Winans, on everybody would kind of be there. But Commission, we push all the leads up to be equal with the background. The background to be equal with that. And we changed. We didn't know we were changing the game.
Yeah.
But that's how Boyz II Men, Jodeci, and everybody else started recording after that. So we didn't know we was changing the game. And I think it would be arrogant to think that we had something to do with that. This is what we're going to do.
Absolutely.
We just did it, and God.
But in hindsight, you could see how it shifted. Now, your next 2 albums, one thing I've always appreciated as a church kid, you listen to your songs, especially Spirit of David and Pages of Life, chapter 1 and 2, and you read the Bible, and it is a vocal companion of the scripture. Some songs, very little is even changed. Right. It is like almost, especially Spirit of David, it's almost like hearing David, the musician, if he was able to record music. That was my hero. That was my biblical hero. That's what it feels like. That's why we named it Spirit of David.
You know, Spirit of David. Monica Coates, who is now the head of Motown, she runs the label Motown. She was my assistant back then, so she was very key in making sure that, you know, we would find the scriptures that matched up with the song. So that's why on the album you see the scripture. Yeah. So all you have to do is do this and that. So, you know, we wanted to, that praise and worship in black churches was just beginning.
Yeah.
Because we were singing about the greatness of God. Before then, we thought we sang of the mercy of God, which is, you know, baby need a pair of shoes, even got a light bill due, telephone disconnect, wait till my next paycheck. Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn it over to the Lord. He going to work that thing out. I don't know how he going to, that's it.
Jesus, what if things are going okay? The song ain't for you.
It worked out. It's like spiritual roulette, you know. I worked the thing out. Phone is off. My phone is off, so next time. You know? But no, that was the vibe. And we started singing of the glory of God, glory to God. We started saying, my pastor, Pastor Lane, said, we need to stop singing, I must tell Jesus all of my problems. You need to stop singing that. Jesus already know that. He already know your problems. I tell you what, why don't we do this? Let's tell our problems about Jesus.
Oh,
let's reverse that. And that's kind of the concept of where we start saying, in the midst of everything, did you know, Cancer, that I serve the God of all gods? Did you know that although this seems to be happening, I am still blessed in the city, and I pronounce that. Do you know that the glory of God is going to be hidden within us? Did you know? So we just started saying that, and that's when it started shifting.
Wow.
You know, that was what praise and worship is really all about.
Man.
One other interesting story. I got this like producing gig with Integrity, Hosanna Integrity. The guy saw me at GMA, and his name is Chris Long, white guy. He came up to me and he held inner court up to me. He said, the Stouffer is packed, the lobby is packed. We just finished some sort of big old concert or something everybody was doing. He looked at me and said, what is this? And I was like, I don't know if I should be offended or right. I don't mind explaining it because nobody knew what it was. He said, I'm sorry. I don't mean to tell you. I mean to say, this is it. And I said, okay. You mind if we fly you and have a meeting down with you in Mobile, Alabama, or Montgomery, or whatever? I said, yeah, I'll come down. They said, we have been trying to take and bless the black community with praise and worship. And we have lost that. We have not been successful. None of the artists that we got, have been able to transcribe. He said, but can you take our music and do this? So I said, yeah. And I went in their session. They were very organized. I said, give me that song, give me this song, give me this song. And I said, no offense. You guys cook string beans to keep the nutrients in them. We don't want no nutrients. So y'all still have snap.
Right.
Ours is wilted. Right. Almost gray.
Almost gray.
I'm getting ready to take your songs and take some of the snap out of it, and I'm gonna put some hood in it. Mm-hmm. Some black church and some hood in it.
Some ham hock.
So we did this record called Praise in the House. Sold really great. Evander Holyfield is getting ready to fight Mike Tyson. In the sparring, his daily sparring, his training, he's getting whooped by his sparring partners. His sparring partner's like, man, come on, man. He gonna eat you alive. You come in there. He just didn't have it. And his wife told me this story. And so he's sitting there and he's trying to fight and he could not fight. And then, man, they just like the whole camp is like, man, this is getting ready to be a massacre. And he didn't know what he was. So his wife was pregnant. Saw him sitting he was on the ring like this with his head down, his gear on, and she climbed up on the ring and looked him in his eyes and said, in your eyes, Mike Tyson, God is as big as Mike Tyson. You have to make God bigger than Mike Tyson. So on that album, which she listened to, there was a song, I have made you too small in my eyes, oh Lord, Forgive me, and I have believed in a lie that you were unable to save me. Oh, now, oh Lord, I see my wrong. Heal my heart and make yourself strong. And in my life and in my song, oh Lord, be magnified. Oh Lord, be magnified, oh Lord. You are highly exalted, and there is nothing you can't do. Oh Lord, we're counting on you. Oh Lord, be magnified. Oh Lord, be magnified. He just looked at her. He had his mouthpiece in his hand. He said, sing it again. She sang it again. He said, sing it again. He stood there. She sang it for him like 5 times. He said, ding, ding. Whooped every sparring partner like he was going out of his mind. They was on the ground, bleed double. Yeah! Yeah, that's what we're talking about. So then he said, who sang that? He said, listen to it. This is Fred Hammond. So he went and got Spirit of David. So coming down the aisle, fighting Mike Tyson, he walks in there, in the Spirit of the Lord comes upon. They said, man, Mike Tyson, I mean, he's coming down like he's some sort of evangelist or something. They were playing Dance Like David on his way down. He was so ferocious. The only way Mike, who I love, only way Mike could stop him is to bite his ear off.
I was watching that fight.
Yep. We were in D.C. in a concert, and somebody was taping it for us. We were going to watch it on the bus.
Yeah, y'all was
and
still
when
in
I got it, they was like,
they were still in it.
It's weird. Here you go, but it's weird. Who won? Just watch it.
Oh, my.
But we saw it, but that was the whole thing that led up to that. You know?
That is
history.
That is crazy. I actually didn't remember that Evander Holyfield came down to gospel music. Yep. I remember watching it being like, this is quick. You don't come down to gospel.
And Mike Tyson came down to like Wu-Tang or something.
Right.
He had all bald black. He looked like, oh my God. But they told me, they said, they're going to play your song too. So I said, tape it, because I really want to see it. I paid for the person that was not at the concert. I paid her to go ahead and just tape it. And they watched it for free. I paid their little cable bill, whatever it was. And man, he came down. It was a proud moment, but it was a weird moment. And then it came up, it's like, you know what? He came down with so much power and anointing.
Yeah.
The only way to stop him was to forfeit,
Yeah.
So, part of history.
This is just great. I'm having a great time. I want to know, before we move on, I want to know about No Weapon. Because that song, I mean, you have so many, but No Weapon is kind of like running back to you. And it's like, your voice comes in so soft at the beginning, and then you just be like, why am I crying? Like, what was the process behind that song? Because that's another one that's just timeless.
Funny thing about that one, it almost didn't see the light of day, because the first time we did it, it bombed.
Really?
At the Chicago Gospel Fest, it bombed bad. Like, people were like, what are you singing? It really wasn't that it bombed. It was like they had never heard anything like that. Mm-hmm. So they was just sitting there looking at me. And I just felt, man, we messed up. But the way that song happened, I was at Great Faith Ministries Bishop Wayne T. Jackson, and I was the music administrator there. Mm-hmm. And we were in there, and they had, had the moments of flow where Bishop would go down and he would prophesy to people, and then there would be a song. A guy named Alvin Moore was playing just this melody. And I said, keep doing that. So I didn't know what, the pastor prophesies, then the psalmist, which is me, has to come up with something. Mm-hmm. So he goes to this one lady, he stops, backs up and says, God told me that he's about to restore all that the locusts have eaten and the cankerworm and the thief has stolen. Your ladder is going to be this. And people start breaking out. He turned to me like, take it away, Mr. Psalmist. And first thing that came out my mouth, when you flowing like that, it's almost like it's freestyle.
Right.
So that's a freestyle song. And no weapon, let me find it right. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. It won't work. And it came, I know, because now I got to figure out what's next. I know God will do what he said he would do. He will come through. And it took off immediately. church went in and we sang that song for 30 minutes every Sunday for months. And I was getting ready to go write the verses. And the Lord said, don't mess that song up. Don't mess that song up. And I'm like, but you got to have verses. You have to. That's the way it works. He said, just don't do that to that song. I said, okay, cool. Now here's where people don't understand. R&B, the reason why gospel is waning is because we don't have our counterparts. R&B is not strong anymore. So think about it, Prince, the Temptations, Stevie Wonder, Anita Baker, all of the hit makers, we sounded like them. So now let me show you where that is true. So now I said, but I need to put a bridge in there. And so one of my favorite songs, and I really couldn't say it at the time because, I knew what they was talking about. They were talking about fornication. Here we go, fornication again. Boyz II Men, who was our little nephews.
Yep.
And they have a song, and I said, I'm taking that part of that bridge. I don't care what song it comes from, and I'm putting it in there because that's one of my favorite parts of the bridge. And said, hold me close. And I won't let go till you ask me to. I'll make love to you. So I said, well, won't be afraid of the arrow by day. Y'all can't sue me. That's statutes and limitations. Plus, y'all took some of my stuff too. Y'all know y'all did. We good. Y'all pay me back.
Oh my God.
And I no weapon.
What? Fred?
We borrow from each other all the time.
That's why it sounds familiar the first time you hear it.
That's why it sounds familiar.
You know what it reminds me of? I was a musician in church too, and one of the things that was fun for church kids, the organist would work R&B music into altar call, but he would church it up. And the people who knew, would be dying. And the older saints would be going straight in to Alicia Keys, Jodeci. Like, y'all don't know.
But did y'all have that snitch? There was always a snitch.
This what they were.
He playing that song. That's what your name. Be to look like somebody. Shut up. You belong in the ditch. You have a little snitch, but we knew.
Wow.
But we were able to do that, and our music sounded familiar. Tony's, Rafi and them, we love them. If you listen to Commission, A Secret Place in you where peaceful waters flow. Let me hide in you. In the secret place, boy, you inviting me, hide in you, Tony. What made you did the name only? That's the name of my name is the way you blaze. We borrow from each other.
Crazy.
We borrow from each other.
This whole time I thought we wasn't supposed to be listening to that. Low key, we was listening to it in the gospel music.
We slid it in on you.
Y'all slid in, just the tip.
But it's coming out that room. It's just coming out.
Man, that is wow. That is.
We didn't have hangups with each other.
Yeah.
R&B and gospel. We were a family and a fraternity and a sorority that we were musicians.
Yeah.
And singers. So we loved what they did. They loved what we did. We didn't stand off. We weren't stand off. We were like, when we got together, we would just hang out and, just Gerald Levert, all of us, we all knew each other and we acknowledged each other.
Yeah.
And we borrowed from each other. Another history. We're getting ready to do Will You Be Ready? Y'all getting all the good stuff.
This is going out tonight.
Yeah. We're getting ready to do Will You Be Ready album. Okay, I wrote a song on it called Save Me Now, Save Me Now, Save Me Now. And Mitchell wrote, Lord Jesus, help me have the money. And Michael Brooks was our main writer. But by that time, we were changing music style wise. Mike was the technical guy. He knew how to work that sequence, and his stuff was very, succinct, and his tempos were different. And we were getting ready to do this one song, and it went like this, because Mike was an up-tempo guy. He liked, up-tempo style stuff. So it went, don't do to know the Savior, walking in there, dun 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 dun, dun feeling my side. But he had all the bells and whistles going, but nobody was feeling it. Record company wasn't feeling it. But Mike was like, man, that's a good song. That's a good song, man. And he said, I ain't tripping. He said, I think we need to just change the drummer. I don't think that Mike is playing it right. And I looked at him, I said, no, man, we can't do that. I said, Mike, it's not Mike. We got to do something else to it. I said, meet me at the studio. We were in St. Louis and we were flying on. Because the song was a good song. Yeah. But it was just tempo. It wasn't what music was doing back then. We were right on the verge and in the middle of New Jack Swinging it.
Yeah. But
this was, something else. And so I bought my R8. I had a drum machine, and I bought my R8. I said, so this is what we need to do. We need to Casanova that mug. And he's like, everybody's like, what's Casanova? I said, you ain't heard that? Pull my drum machine out, R8, rolling R8, and started. Casting, boom, and then I pulled my bass out.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom. And then Mike got it. He started playing on top of it, and he said, oh, man, this, that, and the other. And then Mitchell, and I'm like, oh, man, that's crazy. Mike Williams went in and jumped on the drums, and all we did was we borrowed from Gerald and Levert to make it current.
When in doubt, go with the R&B.
Go with it. They was borrowing from us.
Absolutely.
Yep.
R&B artists always say that.
Yep, because they come from church. Most of them come from church.
And that's the other reason people been saying R&B's changing, because people don't grow up in the church playing music anymore.
There you go. You're right. That's why it's a whole different culture. But we all grew up the same, so.
Okay. I mean, this is just rich.
I'm here with the nephew. KevOnStage.
Uncle Fred and me.
That's right.
All right, so here's what we want to do. This is an interesting little game before we let you go. So I'm gonna give you the title of one of your albums, and I want you to give me either one of your favorite tracks on the album or a song you think everybody should hear. Okay. All right, Fred Hammond, Christmas.
I love Just Remember. Mm-hmm. Just Remember. That song comes from a vibe. Mano Haynes was an amazing musician. He helped arrange that part, but that comes from. So the song goes, stocking and carols, all that comes from these are a few of my favorite things. And doing them down by oh, we don't flip it. So check that one out.
All right, Speak Those Things.
Speak Those Things, man. That one was a song, that album that was a little heavy for people. They didn't really get it coming after Purpose, but I would love for you to listen to Show Me Your Face.
Yes, that's number 3 or 4.
That's I'm not sure what track it is, but it was right during my divorce, so it meant a lot to me.
Yeah,
so it talks about what I've lost. I've lost some. No, that was something else. That was another song. Okay, go listen to the whole thing, and then you ain't gonna miss it.
All right, Something About Love.
Something About Love. Everybody lift your hand if you know that Jesus is worthy. That vibe I heard in my head. I sing it a little behind the beat, a little bit on purpose.
Yeah.
But that vibe was in my head. I saw Al Green and Ron Isley.
Yeah.
So if you listen to it, you'll hear a lot of that tone. I do my voice. Everybody lift your hands if you know that Jesus is worthy. You hear a lot of the little influences of Ron Isley and Al Green.
It's so clear when you say it, but when you first listen, you just like, I like it. All right, Free to Worship.
Free to Worship, man. Well, everybody's gonna go to This Is the Day, but Pam Kenyon, who she snuck in my choir.
She snuck in?
She snuck in. When I made the announcement, everybody know this story, and I made the announcement, Pam Kenyon was 17 years old. You had to be 21. And so she asked the question, she said, why do you have to be 21? I said, because you need to be graduated. She said, okay, cool. Well, she graduated at 16, technicology. So she wasn't going nowhere. But of the 40 singers, she was one of the best. When she got up, she was one of the best singers.
Yeah.
Her and LaDon Ford. And so I just let her stay in. But she got really mad at me on Free to Worship because we were doing, Lord, your grace. So you come out of grace. Your grace and your mercy forever. And we're going, your grace and mercy and grace last forever. And it was such a beautiful song. But I let it go long. Mm-hmm. And then I go, she was so, don't you dare mess with that. She was mad at me for like 3 weeks. Because I wasn't I'm coming out of it. I said, Kenyon, this song is 9 minutes long. Come on. She said, no, just should end. Don't mess that song up. But now she got over it and it's like, yeah, that's a great thing to
do. Last one, Love Unstoppable.
Love Unstoppable. It was funny because we did, now this was my little bro, Israel Houghton. He had a song called Just Wanna Live. And I love that song. And since he took a vibe from my song, which is, I had Lord of the Harvest, he had one of the other joints, which was, what was that song? He had, we getting ready to go on tour too. Me and Israel and Hez were going on tour too. So
dope.
Yeah, so, but I took a vibe from that. I want to say, and I said, okay, I'm going to do this. Like, on the Lord. But here's the thing. It didn't sound like that at first. It had the beat. Calvin did this beat and everything, but it didn't flip. So Ray, my brother Ray, went and took my bass line and slowed it up and turned it around and flipped the mix. And so I said, wait a minute, I hear a bass line. So I pulled the bass out and and it changed the whole vibe of the song. And I reached out for the big homie, my bro. I say, John, I need you. Jump on this mug. He went on. When I got that song back, my eyes almost fell out my head. And so the first song was going to be I Find No Fault in Him. That was the first single. And then they were going to radio. They had it at radio. And when I said, Jeff Grant, you might want to hear this. I sent They That Way to him. He said, you're a punk. I hate you. I do hate you. Because we serviced it already. Right. But we got to pull it. Yeah. They started even playing. They said, no, this is your single right here. So They That Wait was the song on there.
Wow. Now, one thing about you that I have found interesting, you've become a content creator on video, on Instagram Reels. You be making videos, and I'd be like, Fred is just funny. You make funny videos. You've had something go low-key viral. Are you getting inspiration from that? Are you just having fun? Like, what about that part of your life is saying, man, I'm just doing this now?
My thing is you got to make changes in your life. I was the class clown. Mm-hmm. I was the one that they put my desk up in front of the board so I couldn't distract the other students. So I'm right here. The board is right here, and I'm right here. Just got paddled because they called me a distraction.
Just got paddled.
I was talking too much. I always got bad citizenship grade because I talked too much. So they didn't know I was either beating on the desk and just another, and they were trying to beat that thing out of me. And I didn't know to tell them it's always music going on in my head.
Yeah.
Now they look at me as a communicator. So people are seeing me now as like, man, this is new Fred. That's not. Anybody that's been around me, this is how we kick it forever. Me and my crew, when me and Kirk are doing something, like if we're out doing a date, we're always, like you say we came out there, that's normal.
Just out of here.
It was something very inappropriate that sounded inappropriate, but it wasn't. It just was the finish of a conversation. It's crazy. But when we came out here, I think you said, we were talking about the young people today don't have the way to to go to the music stores like we did in the Walmarts and sign CDs and autographs. And at the end of the day, I said, music is this time. But when we got outside the door of the vacuum lock, Kirk said, yeah, so you're going to go ahead and pull out, huh? And I said, probably shouldn't say that right now with that much information. So the room looked at me like, Fred Hammond about to pull out? I'm like, the touring game, this side of the industry. So they don't know that's my demeanor. Yeah. That is my demeanor. My demeanor is, number one, I have an amazing respect for actors and comedians. Mm-hmm. Now, I wouldn't call myself a comedian. Sinbad said, man, you have comedic timing. Yeah. He said, man, you got to think about this, but you add the way you do your shows, because he and I did a bunch of shows together. He said, Fred, your timing is just, it is what it is. I have the timing, but at the end of the day, I have great respect for comedians. And I just know how to look at things a different way, in a different lens. Yeah. And I made a decision that I wasn't going to be that guy that said, listen here, look right in the mirror. That God right now, the anointing of King Arafat and all of the great saints of the Ararat Mountains. That's not me. I'm just going to talk to you like me.
I love that. I appreciate it.
Me and Slocum, me good friends, because me Slocum, me Marcus Wiley, we could kick it because that's it. But that's kind of where I'm at. Plus, it don't hurt that little $1,200 bonus on the reels per month. That's a car note. So I ain't even mad at it.
I actually want to go right back to something I just thought of it, because now it's not as much of a big deal. When you got your ear pierced, it was in the church. It was like, I mean, all of us were like, Fred got his ear pierced. We can get our ear pierced, because all of our moms and everybody loved Fred. So when you got your ear pierced, it was Jeans Gate all over again.
It was Jeans Gate. It was Guest Gate. Jordache Gate all over again. And I found out, I said, which ear should I get? Because, I wanted to represent the heterosexual community. And they said, get the left ear pierced. So I got one ear pierced. And then I said, at some point in time, I saw Michael Jordan. I said, he looks so cool. Yeah. I'm getting two of them at some point, but I got to ease the folks into it. Because I had to go through the little rob, they get over it. And they got over it. And finally, I got two, they got over it. And Bishop Jake said, he was preaching one day. He said, I love having Fred Hammond at my church. You know why? Because no drama. What that meant was, let me explain what that really meant. I'm not going through the alto section, then the soprano section, right. Then and people in this office broken. I ain't messing with none of y'all up in here. I ain't
people in this office broken,
toe up. He said, I don't have to have that conversation with none of these women, all this, that, and other. And they said, yeah, but he got two earrings. He said, if earrings is the only thing I had to worry about, I'm good. And everybody got over it. Now people wearing whatever.
Now we got tattoos and
it's all crazy.
Everything. But at the time, it was like, ooh, Fred. All right, we're going to let you out here on this. This is Kev's Top 10. We ask every guest to answer these questions. All we ask is that you remain honest. All right, number one, who's your favorite person?
Well, my favorite person? The person I'm currently with. And that's what I'll say.
Okay.
The person I'm currently with, they're in my life, and they're the most favorite person I've ever met.
There we go. There we go. Running back to you, part 2.
Yeah. No, but it's not. Never mind. But it's not that. It's very safe. It's very safe.
All right, number 2. What was one of your happiest moments?
Oh man, seeing my daughter born was a really. I was very tired, but seeing her born was one of my favorite moments. And my son, who we adopted, his name is Darius, bringing him home for the first time at 4 months old. Mm-hmm. Those are two I can say right off the rip are two of my favorite times.
Okay. What is one of your saddest moments?
My divorce.
Okay. Yep. Grits, sugar, or salt and pepper?
I am grits pedextrous. I can go either way. I can do, some days I feel salt and pepper and butter. And then some days I feel sugar. I'm not saying I can go either way on this.
I love that.
You know what? But here's the secret to me. You take your sugar and your butter and you take a little pinch of salt. Pop, just to pop it a little bit, to give it that little savory and that sweet thing going. I am not like John P. Key. John P. Key is stuck. He's only on one side.
He's stuck.
John, come on, man.
Stuck.
Leave it alone. But, I do get it. And these are the same people that's talking about putting shrimp and cheese in grits. I'm like, I don't get that. Now, that's what I don't get. But you had a thing and you showed it. This is how you eat. It said it right on the grits
box. Say it on the box. Now leave me alone.
I do pretty much do sugar and salt and butter in each time I do grits.
Okay. All right. Sweet potato pie or pumpkin pie?
I can do both. I'm okay.
You're pie ambidextrous too.
Pie ambidextrous, I prefer sweet potato because of consistency. Sometimes the pumpkin pie can be a little.
That's true.
It could be a little bit, little milky.
Yeah.
Too
definitely.
Texture's big for me.
I'll give it to you. All right. Anita Baker or Patti LaBelle?
Oh, man, what are you doing? Man. Oh, man, that's a rough one. I love Patti. I love LaBelle. Voulez-vous chez votre choix. That was one of my favorite songs, whatever they say. Lady Mama Lie. Come on, you can't you're over the rainbow and all that stuff. But I gotta go with my homegirl Nita. I was closer to her because number one, Derek Dirksen, my manager, managed her. So we have a connection.
Okay. Favorite black saying?
Favorite black saying. Oh my God. I'm going to Detroit. And it's a Detroit thing. And if I see anybody with a Detroit hat in Australia, if I see him over in anywhere, and you got a Detroit hat on, we got one saying. We say, "What up, though?" And everybody knows from Detroit, "What up, though?" Okay. So that's my favorite.
All right. What excites you?
Oh, man. I love laughing. I love just enjoying life. I love enjoying people. What excites me now is, the super thing to say, the spiritual thing to say is God excites me. Okay, that he really does. But, I love the passion I get from now creating film projects. I love working. I just finished working with Nick on his Christmas thing and all that stuff. I don't want to do that. I'm following in your footsteps. You are teaching me how to do it yourself. And I don't want to be bothered with the big industry. Now, if they come and they offer it right, it's going to be on my terms, and they don't want to do my terms. Who am I?
Right.
But I still have 2 million people on Facebook that I can figure out how to get directly to. So I love filmmaking. I love telling story through the lens. I just love it. And that's what really excites me. Whether I become really successful in it, God just told me, just get back in line. Humble yourself and get back in line.
All right. What bores you?
Oh, man. What bores me? Zoom meetings.
You said that with such disdain.
Listen, I was going to Zoom me up with my friend. He probably ain't going to watch this anyway. I can say it. It was with my friend, man, and he introduced, it took him 20 minutes to introduce everybody in there.
Come on.
He said, first, we're glad for Fred to be on here, and we don't want to belabor the time. Yes, you do.
No.
Yes, you do. You're about to do it. He said, but I want to give first to Dr. So-and-so. She came from so-and-so elementary school. I knew I was in trouble. He said from elementary school, and where she was in track, and she started a new science project back then. And I'm like, oh my God.
Oh, it's hilarious.
And so Zoom meetings, man, I don't want to have any of them. I don't want to. I don't like them.
All right, last one. What do you want your legacy to be?
That I blessed a lot of people. I blessed a lot of people externally, that I blessed you from my gift and my talent and my calling, but more so that I blessed the people that were closest to me with opportunities that they could say, man, thank you, Unc, for doing this. Thank you. That my family can say, thank you for being. Bishop said it the best, and I won't get emotional, but Bishop said it the best. If you're blessed with a deathbed and you get a chance to look in somebody's eyes, and you got 3 minutes left, that you look in somebody's eyes and say, my life is better because you was here. That's what I want. My life was better that you was here because you was here. Now, the flip side of that is, how do you feel when everybody crying and I'm about to get up out of here? Wait a minute. That's nice that I was, but do you realize I'm out of here?
I want my life to be worse when I leave. I want your life to be worse.
But I want to say this too, man. I'm proud of you for doing what you're doing. You are leading us.
Thank you.
You are leading us. And a lot of the things, do you remember I called you maybe 2 years ago and I said, man, what app do you use to get you and the thing on?
Yeah.
And you were gracious enough to tell me. I didn't know how to edit at that point.
Yeah.
But you were gracious, said, this is the app you get. This is what you want. Because I saw technology in you. I saw what you were doing. And I said, I'm going to follow. So even as you followed me and I was a blessing to you, and you were able to flourish, I'm able to feed off of that and learn now. So my Instagram stuff is what you see in my Facebook stuff is because KevOnStage. I'm watching him just clean comedy. Yes. It's just another. I'm supportive.
He stole my stuff just like the other music.
That's it.
And we built our comedy. One of our first jokes I used to kill is still, I probably could still do it to this day. We would do Bless, right? And then we bring somebody up. Oh, you can sing, you can sing. Now do the verse. And they be, and that was supposed to stop me. And how the best of man.
I would do that if you called me. Dude, listen, I ain't done the verse in so long. If you said that, I'd be like, and down in the land. Come on.
I mean, we did that joke all the way. You gotta say, one girl in Richmond, Virginia, one person in all of our Playmaker history actually knew the whole verse. But so I appreciate you, Fred. Ladies and gentlemen.
Didn't you do a thing for us with me and Donnie? Did y'all do a cartoon on us?
Yes, we've done plenty.
Y'all did a cartoon with me and Donnie?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we were on our way out on the tour, and you did that, and then Donnie was standing.
Yeah, that was Jarrell. Jarrell was doing Donnie. I didn't tell you this, Fred. Josh just reminded me. We was in Dallas one time. This is when I was doing the plays. You don't know this, or maybe you do. Somebody gave us your address, and we was like, we gonna make it. We gonna go to Fred's Hammond's house. We gonna put our play on your front door. And we went and basically ding dong ditched our play. We put it on your front door, knocked on the door, and got in our car and scared. I don't know who answered the door, what happened to that play, but we went home like, all right, guys, things are about to change.
I was saying, it probably somebody, whoever answered the door probably came like this.
I'm glad they didn't get it.
Because people that came to my door saying the Lord said I was their husband.
Oh,
and, God.
Come on.
So when it come now, we was, hey, praise him.
You know this is Texas. It's more crazy if you don't got it. Ladies and gentlemen, Fred Hammond, the living legend. You've had so much breaking stuff on this. Follow him on social media. Very funny on Instagram, Facebook. Check out his products, man. His music we all know. Check out his new stuff, man. Fred, thank you, brother. Love you. Appreciate you.
I love you, man.
All the dimes and gems and breaking newses. It's just, I can't wait to go back and watch this. This was a long one. Yeah, and I enjoyed every second. I'm over here like, oh, I can't wait to tell my wife what Fred told me.
This is my next favorite interview. My first one was 2 weeks ago with Questlove.
Oh, really?
Oh, man, we did a whole week. We probably did 2 hours easy. His podcast, yep. Yeah, man. So you can go check out the Fred Hammond.
Number 2.
But it's a whole different set of stuff he asked me for this one. Is a great interview, man. I am so proud of you all and proud of you all.
Marquita Bradley and Josh.
Go do your thing. Love you guys and lead us on, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching Coming to the Stage. You know you can get this with no ads on the KevOnStage Studios app. Huh? No ads. But if you ain't got that $5.99, you can listen to it for free much later on YouTube, Facebook, wherever podcasts are found. We'll see you next time. Peace.